You know, it's worse than a sick kid being home with a sick kid. They're whiny, they're miserable, and when you need to take a temperature, forget it. Bedlam. That's why you need the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's the greatest gadget for taking temperatures. Just one swipe over the forehead and you're done. You get a clear, accurate read with no fuss, and you can even take it while they're sleeping. The medical profession has been using the Exergen Scanner for years. If it's good enough for them, you know it's worth every penny and great value for the money. The Exergen Temporal Scanner, changing the way the world takes temperature. Available at Walgreens and other fine retailers.
The views of this program are not necessarily the views of KWFM Radio, its management, or its sponsors. The host is solely responsible for its content. Enjoy.
On a mission given to me by Woody Shaw, Sunship, Dizzy, and Billy Higgins, dedicated to pursuing a piece of our cultural heritage through interviews with my jazz heroes, this is The Jake Feinberg Show. Welcome everybody inside the studios of KWFM, 1330 The Star. This is The Jake Feinberg Show. And in relationships, you have a first love, and chances are you move on and marry someone for reasons other than true love. And once you're married, you can't go back to your first love. Returning to your first love is possible in art. A multi-instrumentalist might return to the tenor saxophone after years of playing other wind instruments. A sculpturist might return to the paintbrush. And my guest today is returning to his first true love, singing. After a storied career in Hollywood that spans 30-plus years, playing characters such as the villain in Goonies and one of the great Bond villains of all time, Franz Sanchez, he is returning to his original craft. And he is not taking it lightly, as evidenced by his latest CD, Davi Does Sinatra, which is a conglomeration of sensual romantic ballads and up-tempo toe tappers that would make old Blue Eyes proud. Robert Davi, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you for having me, Jake.
You know, I wanted to ask you...
I just wanted to it's Davi sings Sinatra. Does Sinatra connotate something else, which I'm not doing.
You know, it's so funny, man. I that was my flip. I love it. Thank you so much for correcting me. That's awesome.
It just gets me when I hear Davi Does Sinatra.
No, I know, and I was going to ask...
Whoa, hold on a second.
Davi sings Sinatra.
That's right. There's a whole other thing going on, my brother.
Oh, feels so good. All right, so... I'm just going to read a quote from you here. It says, "My humble mission as a singer and interpreter of this songbook is to help reinvigorate the spirit of America, the spirit that makes it the greatest country in the world." And so my question for you is, you know, maybe you could have chose other avenues to have an imprint or an impact on the spirit. Why did you choose the going into singing, music?
Well, because music is... There is no boundary to the music in terms of cultural boundary, especially the Great American Songbook. And by that I mean is this music for our grandparents and our parents, they grew up in a generation that was going through a difficult time. The Depression, for some of them World War II, you know, and the Great American Songbook, which I call the Shakespeare of America, is an amalgam of the immigrant experience. Whether it be the black jump and jazz blues artists and the struggle that they had, and that jazz art form that comes out of New Orleans, and then you get the guys like Johnny Mercer that have been around since the Welsh, Irish, German immigrant, since the Revolutionary War, and then an inordinate amount of the sons and daughters of Jewish immigrants and their struggle, and running away from the Cossacks and stuff, and coming to a country that gave them freedom of speech and freedom of religion and being able to live a life. And so the amalgam of all these peoples created what I call the Shakespeare of America, the Great American Songbook. And it expresses optimism and hope, not only with romance, because the album is Davi Sings Sinatra, On the Road to Romance, between a couple or between two individuals, but also one's love of country and the cohesive unity that we can all feel. And what this music did, it made the world fall in love with America, and it made us fall in love with, get us through those difficult time periods. So I chose this music for that reason. Okay,
so I'm going to ask you now, follow-up. How can you reach a younger audience? Because I know from my parents' generation and your grandparents' generation, Sinatra was a magical figure, and like you said, that's what grew out of the song. The songbook grew from that. But for a younger generation, a lot of them are immigrants as well. How can you make that connection? Because in a lot of ways, that's the new reality of America.
First off, for me, the way to do that is my film career has been very varied, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a nice proportionate, a different demographic than the normal guy doing this music. And so you have, you know what I'm struggling with, Jake, right now?
Yeah, what's up?
For some reason, my phone is not charging.
So
and I noticed that I'm on low battery, so we're going to have a real dramatic moment here.
So, listen, do you have a landline we can call you on?
That is, I don't know why this thing, it always works.
You sound, just listen, you sound great. Listen, you sound good. Just go as long as you can. Let's go.
Wait a minute, maybe it turned from red to now white, so I think maybe there might be some luck. So let's hold on to this drama. But anyway, so because of Goonies and Bond and Die Hard and Criminal Minds and all the shows that I've done over the years and stuff, and so there's that. Today I was at a restaurant with a friend of mine, the guy that created Wise Guy and The Commission, a writer, terrific writer,
mm-hmm.
and a 12-year-old girl came up. Oh, I love Goonies, and I hear you singing. So that's that. So all I ask is the younger generation, just give it a shot. And we've known from concerts that I've been giving that they are. There's a large amount of younger people coming to the concerts.
Well, listen, let's just keep the love going here, and you can charge that phone and listen in. We're gonna play a clip off the new CD. Davi sings Sinatra. Okay, charge up that phone, take a listen to this, and we'll come back and talk about it. Okay.
Fantastic, yeah, and I think we're good now. We're getting charged.
Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum. You came along and everything started into hum. Still, it's a real good bet, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine. Wait till the warm-up's underway. Wait till our lips, they have met. Wait till you see that sunshine day. You ain't seen nothing yet. The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? The best is yet to come the day you're mine. Come the day you're mine. I'm gonna teach you to fly. We've only tasted the wine. We're gonna drain that cup dry. Wait till your charms are ripe for these arms to surround. You think you've flown before, but baby, you ain't ever left this ground. Wait till you're locked in my embrace. Wait till I draw you near. Wait till you see that sunshine place. There ain't nothing like it here. The best is yet to come, and babe, won't wouldn't it be fine? The best is yet to come the day you're mine, come the day you're mine, I'm gonna make you mine. Make you mine.
The best is yet to come. And, it's what's nice and refreshing. I don't know, some of the musicians, just legendary LA studio cats, Chuck Berghofer, Chuck Finley, Joe LaBarbera, the list goes on and on. That's beautiful jazz in the background there,
Oh, yeah, those are all original charts, and those guys are the monster players that have, played for all the greats, and including Sinatra, of course, and, at Capitol Studios, we did that on, Studio A and B, and Phil Ramone produced the record, and Al Schmidt mixed it, and Danny Wallen was the engineer, so, all the top of the top, creme de la creme.
This was a question that came to me, is that really you were on the scene, before anybody else as far as you're a singer. And I wanted to ask you, because you're doing, let's face it, you're doing standard Cy Coleman stuff and things like that. What kind of writer were you as a young, as a budding youngster musician? Did you write a lot?
You mean music? No. I studied opera, and I wanted to sing the standards. And I didn't write, music per se, but I was, I studied in Florence with Tito Gobbi, who was one of the greatest baritones of all time, and then Dan Farrow from Juilliard and Samuel Margulies, who taught Merrill, and I just like you got enough great writing in Irving Berlin and the Gershwins and Sammy Kahn and Jimmy Van Heusen and Cy Coleman and Ruby Bloom and Yip Harburg and, on and on and on, all these great writers.
It's true.
Harold Arlen.
Did you find that when you were first studying opera, like when you were on stage, I think it's important to talk to a younger generation in America, which is clearly a more insecure generation than yours or even the predecessors to you. And I was, being in opera, you got your head's on a swivel, and I wanted you to talk about how you found your footing early on, became secure on stage.
Well, first off, Sinatra also studied opera. That's why I think it has a lasting vocal quality that goes on. He brought the bel canto technique to opera, to popular music. And so what does that mean? That reflects the question you asked. Preparation, training. You can't and you cannot, look at, you can get lucky and have a reality show, and you can go do something, and you can get hot for 5 minutes, but are you going to last? And you're going to last, let's say, 50 years or 100 years. That's why, hey, I love the Lady Gaga. I enjoy that music, and she may turn into somebody that we listen to, like you do Sinatra in 50 or 100 years. But it's the preparation, it's the... and she's I don't mean to single her out, because she is brilliant.
Absolutely.
For what she's doing. But in terms of, kids wanting to make a sensation today and not being prepared, not coming up through the ranks, you don't have many places to fail like they did back then. Back then, those guys had, vaudeville, and they had live theater, and they had live, they had the big band era where they were singing every night, really developing craftsmanship, or even in plays, Now a kid will get, put on a Disney show, and they'll learn, they can be terrific, but there's such a turnover. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Where are
and I was going to say, you talk about going through the ranks. That also is a part of the capitalist system that is somewhat broken now, because you're a 5 minute, you get hot for 5 minutes, all of a sudden you're making $8-10 million, and you jump over that ladder you're supposed to climb up. All of a sudden, you have this inflated thing because of the money. Because if you work yourself up through the ladder, I mean, with the jazzers that I interview, I mean, those guys they needed to play their asses off on the bandstand every night, because if they didn't, some other person would take their place, and they were getting $5 a night. And I'm not saying people get $5, but you inflate that right away over what has that person done? What has their career produced? And they're already making that much money?
Yeah. So there's an imbalance in the whole system. And it unfortunately cannot, as we see, it cannot support it because it's top-heavy. It's a foundation built on wet cement. And wet cement being, it takes time to cure it and to let things settle, to build that foundation. So before you put anything heavy on top of it. And I think a lot of ways, the .com era and all this other stuff, what's happening across, and the sense of entitlement. Kids have a sense of entitlement as well in that.
I wonder how you stand living in Los Angeles. I mean, I realize your career is there, but I mean, there have to be other places. Do you have opportunities to get away and go to and get space so you can sort of get back to the roots? Because Southern California, I mean, you can find anything out there, but the entitlement is at an all-time high out there.
Well, it's I mean, look, that could be anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can have that in South Philly. I mean, you can have it in Arizona. Who knows where you have it? I mean, it could be anywhere. It's not, but those values is something you carry, within yourself, and it's one of the interesting things also about Sinatra. Why I'm doing my show in Las Vegas. I'm at the Venetian in February 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I'm headlining there. And my show is a tribute to Sinatra, the great American songbook in America. And I kind of like, through the music, of course, and the 20-piece band, great players are going to be playing, like you talked about on the album. But I traverse a little bit of what America is and the values. Again, that goes back to the music. When there was a certain kind of romance, those lyrics that we hear from the Cy Colemans and the Carolyn Lees and the Yip Harburgs and all these writers, Sammy Kahn, if a heart was broken, it wasn't its heart out there for a pimp. You know what I mean? It was All the Way that won the Oscar.
Right.
In 1957 for Joker is Wild. You know what I mean? So those lyrics, you celebrated romance, and there was a respect for women, a respect, different kind of, and it's all fun, that stuff. I saw a film the other night of my Horrible Bosses. A friend of mine, you have to see this. Now, look, I could see the toilet humor and all the other stuff in it, yes. But it's filled with vignetted kind of, I don't see where the substance is.
There's no substance.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're...
And the story is lacking in logic. It just is, there is no continuity. There is just, let's get a shock value moment. Let's be funny. Let's be, a bit crude. So here we have an erosion of our values. Culturally, the youth has that. It's inundated with that kind of cultural cesspit. I think. Now what happens is, and then this is another reason why the music and why now and why I think it's imperative. Conservative movement, because you're talking somewhat in a conservative way, whatever conservative is and whatever liberal is, I think all these parties are full of baloney anyway.
Right.
I think that there's a whole big, again, that's all lost its way. So now how do we swim out of this, and what do we find, and how do we because you'll have, we have a complexity of different problems. Let's take immigration, for instance, and you're calling me from where, Jake?
From Tucson. We're about 4 hours from the border.
Right. So you understand the problem that immigration has. Now,
well, yeah, I mean, but absolutely. I think I want to go back to the music because I really love the power of the message because it's not ideological. But in order to do that, in order to reintroduce, if that's the right word, American values, you're going to be dealing with a different immigrant population than the ones that came over on the boats to Ellis Island. It's a different. So my question, it's challenging, but how can you do you have to change I mean, because you're playing at the Venetian, it's a really nice place in Vegas. Are you going to have to change venues if you go on tour across the states to play in neighborhoods that might be more minority neighborhoods? In order,
what I want to do is I want to fuse this music with a Latino rhythm.
Beautiful, Afro-Cuban, Armando Peraza. That's it. George Shearing did that.
That's one of the things that I want to do. I want to then eventually bring this lyric, you know what I mean, in a way like the Cumbia Kings.
I love that idea.
Those guys are great. They're cooking. They're hot, and I want to be able to maybe try to bring this kind of, but that's down the line now. This is first me putting my flag into this music, and now then taking it to that next step. You know what I mean? And then bringing it to the and look at I played the Colombian drug lord in License to Kill. You know what I mean?
I know that
Italian,
one.
No, being Italian, I'm the Latino and romance. I mean, we're all. There's no separation. I believe all cultures initially we all have that. But again, and I go back to the understanding of us as a people and bringing those values. You have to bring the values. You have to say you're here in this country, and let's you came for a reason.
Exactly. No, but I have been pushing on my show, and I know you've listened to my entire archives, but what I've been pushing on this show is the idea of I know it's down the road, but this idea of this, these Afro-Cuban bossa rhythms mixed into the classic American storybook, the congas and the timbales and the bongos, those urban instruments, they gave jazz an urban feel. And all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, we're talking about Davi sings Sinatra. Robert Davi's going to sound. That's the 21st century sound. That's the 21st century. I
was talking about this in the '80s with my friend Willie Bobo. I don't know if you know who that is.
I feel him in my heart. I collect every record I can. I love Willie Bobo. I never met the guy, but every record. I just picked up this Rene 2Z album, and he's fashioning Willie Bobo and Mongo back when they were in Tito Puente's band.
Right. Well, Willie was a good friend of mine. We would spend many nights talking about fusion. He died, a younger guy, and before I was really getting into the thing. But I was talking about this with Willie in the '80s in terms of bringing that rhythm into the songbook thing, and trying to come up with a way to do that. So this is the first step for me to get into that and then take it to that next level.
We're talking with Robert Davi, his new CD, Davi Sings Sinatra. He was an opera singer coming out of the gate. He got his big cut in a movie, 1977 film entitled, I'm going to bring this up here, Contract on Cherry Street. After that, Goonies, and one of the greatest villains of all time in the Bond films. Now he's going back out to reinvigorate the American songbook, doing it with a beautiful voice, and eventually mixing it with the Willie Bobo rhythms. Robert, we're going to take a break for the news. We'll come back on the other side and do a whole lot more, okay?
Sure.
All right. This is the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll be back in just a minute.
This is the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll be right back.
CNN Radio, I'm Shelby Lynn. Nevada voters are casting ballots in the state's Republican caucuses today. CNN's Jim Acosta reports polls show Mitt Romney with a double-digit lead over his rivals.
I think Mitt Romney feels like he has it in the bag here in Nevada because, look at what his schedule is showing us today. He's up in Colorado, sort of getting ready for those caucuses that are coming up on Tuesday.
Ron Paul seems to have moved on as well. He held a campaign event in Minnesota today. As the UN Security Council fails to pass a resolution addressing the ongoing violence in Syria, more than 300 people have been killed by government troops in the Syrian city of Homs over the past 2 days. Private Bradley Manning will face a court-martial. That decision handed down by the Army this week. Manning is accused of the biggest intelligence leak in U.S. history and could face life in prison if convicted. The most trusted name in news, this is CNN Radio.
Today, my journey to help save people money on car insurance brings me to a shopping mall. Of course, when it comes to shopping for car insurance, most people go to Geico. I mean, with all the discounts they offer, why would you shop anywhere else? There are discounts for complete and defensive driving courses, multi-policy discounts, and discounts for being accident-free. This mall is a real maze. I think I passed that candle store about 5 times.
For a free rate quote, visit geico.com to see how much you could save. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
At Advance Auto Parts, we don't do anything just part way. We go full throttle. We don't just sell windshield wipers. Oh, no. We install them for you, fast and free with purchase on most vehicles. And now, save $10 instantly when you purchase 2 Rain-X Repel wiper blades. So if your wipers are squeaking, streaking, smudging, or otherwise just kicking you off, remember, free wiper installation at Advance. Service is our best part. Advance Auto Parts. See store for details.
Today, my journey to help save people money on car insurance brings me to a shopping mall. Of course, when it comes to shopping for car insurance, most people go to Geico. I mean, with all the discounts they offer, why would you shop anywhere else? There are discounts for complete and defensive driving courses, multi-policy discounts, and discounts for being accident-free. This mall is a real maze. I think I passed that candle store about 5 times.
For a free rate quote, visit geico.com to see how much you could save. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It's worse than a sick kid being home with a sick kid. They're whiny, they're miserable, and when you need to take a temperature, forget it. Bedlam. That's why you need the Exergen temporal scanner. It's the greatest gadget for taking temperatures. Just one swipe over the forehead and you're done. You get a clear, accurate read with no fuss, and you can even take it while they're sleeping. The medical profession has been using the Exergen scanner for years. If it's good enough for them, it's worth every penny and great value for the money. The Exergen temporal scanner, changing the way the world takes temperature. Available at Walgreens and other fine retailers.
Even the ancient Romans knew that music can soothe the savage beast. But what if there's a beast lurking in your old stereo? Maybe it's popping static, garbled distortion, a skip in the record, or worse, dead silence. Stereo Hospital can restore smooth sound to your receiver, amp, turntable, CD player, or speakers. At the same Midtown location, 4044 East Speedway, for 10 years, Stereo Hospital might be the last shop in town doing quick, guaranteed repairs on vintage and modern stereos. Owner Jeff Brucker has over 40 years' experience as an electronic technician, and he is happy to bring back the joy and memories only your music collection provides. Log on to stereohospital.com or call 722-4610, or just bring that mean old stereo in today. Stereo Hospital at 4044 East Speedway, inside Metronome Music near Alvernon, to calm the beast.
Folks, this is Jake Feinberg. When it came time to decide where to buy my daughter a piano last year, the choice was easy. We got it at Hackenberg & Sons Piano Company. Located at 4333 East Broadway Boulevard, Hackenberg & Sons is Tucson's longest-running family-owned piano business. Run by 3 brothers and a son, they pride themselves on superior instruments and customer satisfaction. It's why they've been around so long. And it's why their pianos are used at the University of Arizona, Pima Community College, and many other prestigious institutions. So whether it's for your child, business, or yourself, when you buy a piano, make sure you go to Hackenberg & Sons. It'll be the beginning of a long-lasting partnership. For more information, visit them at hackenbergpiano.com. Folks, this is Jake Feinberg. One of the first things I wanted to do when I moved to Tucson was find authentic Chinese cuisine. After a tip from the Chinese Student Association, I headed over to Badar Chinese Restaurant. Well, it's been 7 years and I have never looked back. Located at 7321 East Broadway Boulevard, Badar has been a family-run operation since 1992. The award-winning chef produces succulent dishes from sizzling ginger chicken to salt and pepper shrimp. The thing that separates Badar from the rest is that the chef procures ancient oriental dishes with the exotic island flair of Taiwan. Most importantly, there are no gimmicks or razzle-dazzle at Badar. You won't find any flat-screen TVs or karaoke machines. Badar is a place to go enjoy good food and spend time with your family. It exudes peace and tranquility after a long week of work. So come down and check out Badar Chinese Restaurant. Hong Hao Chu. It's that good. In this day and age, people have a lot to protect. You want to know that when you're insuring valuable goods, you have an agent you can trust. Craig Pretzinger is that agent. For auto, home, and life insurance, the Pretzinger Agency is Tucson's most honest and flexible insurance company. Have off-road vehicles or motorhomes? Pretzinger can cover that as well. Pretzinger Agency at 299-5810, located across the street from Sullivan's Steakhouse on the southwest corner of River and Campbell. Trust, compassion, and service. The whole package at Pretzinger Agency. Call 299-5810 or text QUOTE to 602-459-5533 to receive a no-obligation quote. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Be a part of a new coalition with Jake Feinberg. The second half of my show starts right now. Welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show, everybody, and we're joined today by singer and actor Robert Davi. Robert, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Jake.
Hey, I wanted, we're talking about responsibilities and...
That was my name in the Goonies, too, was Jake.
That's right, it was. I mean, listen, I was 7 years old when that movie came out, but, and I mean, everyone from my generation, that was the staple. It was just this, you knew it, and Friday nights when your folks were going out and you were taking care of your younger brother, you were watching that film. It was beautiful. It was an amazing film. I wanted to ask you, we're talking about rediscovering values, and I'm a young father. I'm due to have my second baby in about 3 days.
Congratulations! Oh wow!
And so I mean, parental responsibility, I feel, has gone. We have for a myriad of reasons, but I wanted to ask you about the impact that your parents had. What kind of impact did they play on your education?
As we've seen the systematic and incremental chipping away at culture, and the other thing, it's who controls the culture controls the society, and that's how you move a society toward different things. So I find that there's a lack of, where conservatives are very religious and follow, everybody has their own thing. I don't mean to just say one segment, but you find that Democrats or the liberals are much more culturally aware and much understand the power of culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen over the years a systematic, incremental, not only the fraying of a certain kind of gentleness, but also the respect or the influence parents can have on their children through the education process.
Right. Not the school's responsibility, the parents' responsibility, and part of that. Well, go ahead.
Well, it's two things. It's a couple of things. It's the society. There was a thing in Los Angeles, in California, a couple of years ago, that if a 13-year-old girl got pregnant, there was a bill they didn't want, that the school or the parent didn't have to be notified.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, my parents disciplined me. There was no fear of children's services coming in because I was disciplined. So you have a free-for-all, a lack of discipline with children, a lack of structure, of strong structure, because a child can say, well, I'm going to call up children's services, or I'll report you to the school. Or a kid will go in and they'll say, there is not, you don't have the same kind of, so you have to figure out how to navigate that, how to, teachers are having trouble.
And I can just say the other day, I'm taking my daughter to the swim team practice, and she's going off, she's yelling at me. I said, I said, honey, if, somebody in the parking lot can misinterpret what you're doing. I mean, let's work this out, but lower your voice. And I'm like, why do I even have to say that? God, that is just, I mean, here it is. We're having a completely innocent father-daughter fight. And yet I have to tell her to stop, having a meltdown because I'm worried about some person who's looking for attention or feeling insecure.
Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And back then, if I was doing that, ivory soap went in my mouth. All right?
Right.
Ivory soap went in my mouth. It ain't the most, it's not like American cheese or Swiss cheese. Believe me, tasting that. But you think twice again about mouthing off.
Right. Wait.
You understood there's a respect for the parent. That has been decimated a little bit. And children see that in the films. Fathers are losers, this is that. Kids can tell the parent to go F themselves. And, it's become very, 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 unfortunately, not all over, but, I mean, there's a pervasive contamination, let's say,
I just, part of it was...
Let's take water. Let's take drinking water, for instance. All right, say the water is drinkable, 99.9% drinkable. It's not. Now, if you just put 10% of contamination in that water, it starts changing. And eventually, it gets more than 10%, then it gets 20%, and now all of a sudden it's undrinkable, and you're poisoning yourself. So that's kind of, the whole thing with incrementalism.
All right, well, we're getting heavy here with Robert Davi, and I want to go back on the road to romance. Let's take a listen to another track. We'll come back and talk about it, okay?
Absolutely.
The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, and then we strolled that golden sand. Two sweethearts and the summer wind, like painted kites, those days and nights they went flying by. The world was new beneath the blue umbrella sky. Then softer than the piper man, one day it called to you. I lost you to the summer wind. The autumn wind and the winter winds, they have all come and gone. Still those days, those lonely days, they go on and on. And guess who sighs his lullabies through nights that never end? My fickle friend, the summer wind. That warm summer wind, it came and took you away. The summer wind.
Two Sweethearts and the Summer Wind. I mean, I love how you interject those vocals and then the horns just kind of zigzag right through it. It's nice arranging by, I'm going to butcher his name, Nick Tenbrook?
Yeah, Nick Tenbrook. He did the composition for me for my film, The Dukes.
Right.
I did the film The Dukes. He was terrific, and I met him there, and he worked with Nancy Wilson for 5 years, and I met up with, I told Nick that when I wanted to do this, I wanted to have all new arrangements, but I wanted to stay in the tradition of, I didn't want to all of a sudden reinvent the wheel and try to, but that song is a German song initially, and it was then put the lyric by Johnny Mercer.
I was going to say, I'm still kind of looking back at the Duke here. Bogdanovich, Chaz Palminteri, and you. That's a bad lineup right there, man. Jesus. That's
It's a very cute film. If you haven't seen
I'm
it,
going to check. It's a very... And by the way, I should have said 520-529-0538 if you want to be part of the program. And we have a caller on the line. Go ahead. Question for Robert Davi. Go ahead, please.
Big fan of yours. Jeremiah Tyner here, checking in from the East Coast. Really love your work. Disagree with you politically completely, but love your work. My question was, you see a lot of, especially I guess you see a lot of musicians these days that go into acting, and I guess vice versa. As someone with experience in both fields, what has been most rewarding for you artistically, spiritually, the music side, the acting side, both?
What's your response to that, Robert?
Yeah, what was the caller's name?
His name was Evan.
His name was Ed?
Evan.
Evan.
Yeah.
Evan, the two things that we made. First off, the music is absolutely the communion with the audience and the message I want to say. And we may not be, my political feelings are very nuanced. So you may find that there are certain points of where we connect on some of that stuff.
Absolutely, I can already feel it too.
The thing for me with the music is about unifying all of us. We are so splintered politically, and I think both parties, as I said earlier, are at fault. So right there is a big difference. But that being said, the music is unifying, and it's something that I just feel so satisfied doing spiritually, and then and being able to communicate to a live audience with that. Gustav Mahler said that music is the closest thing to the absolute. So there is something that flows through you with that music.
Mm-hmm.
You really feel a sense of being disconnected to a higher power, and then through you to the audience, and the rest of the band members.
So, but his question related. So really, I mean, the singing was always on your mind. Even, I mean, you obviously got that role to play, and then your movie career and your acting career really took off. But the music that's your soul. I mean, that's what sings. It's always sung to you.
Yeah, like you said, from the beginning of the show, your opening statement, which was right on in terms of you may be doing something, but how many times can you go back to what your heart is and who your real form of expression is? And that to me is the music and the singing, to communicate through song, and that holds the most satisfaction. I enjoy the acting, I enjoy the directing, and playing the different characters. I just finished another film called The Iceman with Chris Evans and Michael Shannon, James Franco, David Schwimmer, Ray Liotta.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's a terrific cast, and Stephen Dorff, Winona Ryder. So the acting is still fun, but the music is where I'm at, man. The music is just, I want to take this into as far as I can, and for as long as I can.
Robert Davi, I mean, I just feel like, there's opportunity for nuance everywhere, because I'm reading here in the liner notes, you have this tough veneer, that's the way you came across as an actor, as a tough guy, maybe, even go a sinister guy. And yet the real Robert Davi is the man we hear on this album. I mean, the part of you is, there's also a thing saying, no, actually, I know I play all these, I've been, that's my acting garb, but really I want to show you a different side, a more loving side through the music.
Well, who I am. 'Cause
Who you really are, yeah.
You can express all of yourself in that. I mean, the marvelous thing about Sinatra was he was a great actor. You know, I mean, you look at his career, it was, you know, I mean, to me, he was the greatest entertainer of all time. He conquered film and music and television and, you know, he directed even a film, you know, and he had edge. You see, there was something about Sinatra. There are a lot of singers around today that, you know, I think I'm one of the only guys that have that edge that he had. You know, if you said, I'm going to break your legs, you could believe it. You know?
Oh, my God. This has been an all-time classic. Continue.
You know, so what you do is you say, you take that edge and you put it to I've of course experienced heartbreak and all the other emotions that these songs portray. So I'm able to put those through. You know, you have to have lived, and in a certain way, and I have that history behind me. You know, so when you're communicating through a song, there's a depth of experience that you're able to put into the music.
Follow me on this for a minute. So I think what drives a lot of modern day, my generation of political thought is that there's a certain brand of conservatism that is ideologically based and captured in sort of this cement that we don't evolve. The Constitution doesn't evolve. It's a living document. Yet we are changing as a society. We look different as a society. The money's totally different. The whole 9 yards. Cost of living is much higher. So my political thought is that we look at conservatism, we say it's stuck in the mud. Yet here, somebody who you are a full-fledged conservative, with nuances, and yet you continue to evolve. I mean, you're cutting a film, and yet you're also going on tour to do your music. And to me, that is evolution. It's also growth. And I feel like that conservative movement doesn't want to grow. For some reason, they're just stuck in this sort of weird time zone. And a lot of it has to do with some antiquated, biblical stories. But for you, I say to myself, here's a guy who has basically said, no, I need to do this for my soul. And
well, there are a few things. I mean, the biblical stories and the religion and everything. And faith is imperative and important. You know, we're a Judeo-Christian society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other thing of that is, let's just take a little form for Evan, like immigration. All right? On immigration now, do I feel the borders should be closed? Yes. We should have done that. Do I feel the immigration system is broken? Absolutely. I have friends of mine that have tried legally for 7 or 8 years to come into the country legally from Australia or from different parts of the world, and their things get lost, and this gets lost, and that gets lost, and it's frustrating. Then they almost feel like, well, it's better to do it illegally.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But the other answer is we do have a certain amount of illegal immigrants in our country right now. And I talked about my plan for immigration, and I talked about it to a lot of immigrants. And my plan basically is there's several things. Yes, secure the borders immediately, fix immigration, put a freeze on immigration for a couple of years till we straighten it all out, give a date when everyone has to report that's here illegally. If they have any criminal past, they have to leave the country. Those that don't and have a job, stay in the country. They must learn English, and they must pledge allegiance to the American flag. That must be done. And then they must learn, my people came over from Italy when Mussolini was in power.
Mm-hmm.
And he was allied with Hitler. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So they came to this country. My grandfather fought in World War I. He learned English. He went into classes, frustrated to try to learn English because it was difficult for him, but he did that. The other aspect to it is once we find out who's here illegally, and that's out in the open, to say to people, leave now, that have been trying to come here, no, you can't. I don't think you can just say leave to 14 million immigrants, leave the country tomorrow. What you can say, though, and I've said this to people, and they all agreed with me, is that for every year they've been here illegally, they do some volunteer 1 day a week. They do some volunteer work for an old folks home, a health community in their communities. Volunteer. So every year they've been here illegally. Every week they must volunteer for that amount of years, and then put on the list to become citizens.
I like this plan, but I want to ask you two questions about it. Actually, I'm just going to say this right now. I believe in the capitalistic structure that we live in today, that is possible. But what needs the people that are going to pay for it are the companies who have used these illegals and brought them to this country. Because it shouldn't be the taxpayer who pays for deportation or who's going to pay the social workers who's going to monitor these activities when they go volunteer at the old age home. The companies that brought these immigrants here to work should be flipping that bill, not the taxpayer.
Right. No, there's a way of working that out that the community can do that. When I say the volunteer work, I mean, just think of the workforce and the caring people. I mean, sure, you have your element that is not desirable, but we have that in any, even homegrown Americans, can egg out. But we have to find some kind of way, some balance. The discussion shouldn't be leave 14 million people and let them go. We have to find a way and have a discussion in terms of how. And one of the ways is by having them do volunteer work. How that's monitored and all the other things, that's to be worked out. I'm not a, politician.
Right, no, but what I want to say is it's going to come down to dollars.
Right.
Because there's going to be a plenty, handfuls, dozens, thousands of ones that have criminal records and that are going to need to be deported, and someone's going to have to pay for it, and our country is broke. So the only people that are making money are the major companies, and I just feel like the only way we're going to solve these problems is if the people that are absolutely, they've been successful through the open market and the free market, they now have to come aboard and help solve these problems that can't be taken care of by the taxpayer anymore, that can't be taken care of by public institutions or our stretched out military. This is a conversation for in our remaining minutes, Robert. I'd love to have you come back on. I really enjoy the dialogue here, and obviously we can talk music, we can talk about Willie Bobo, we can talk about, all these great cats, but the truth is, man, you got a heart of gold, and without Emil Richards, I mean, I thank him for putting us together. I can't thank you enough.
He's one of the giants, Emil, as you know. He'll be playing with me in Vegas.
Of course.
People can get my album. They can go to DaviSingsSinatra.com. It's at the album's at Barnes & Noble. It's at Amazon. It's at Target. And they can, iTunes. To me, it's trying to find a common ground. And let me give you one little anecdote to close with.
Just to let you know, we got about a minute and a half.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Then we don't have enough time for this story. That'll be another time.
It'll be another time. And let me ask you, what are your real quick? Tell me about your expectations for the Venetian. I mean, what do you personally want to get out of it?
Well, I want to have, it's the Venetian is a great place, and it's where the Sands used to be.
Yes.
And I want to bring to Vegas something that they haven't, I don't believe had for a while. You have people doing the songbook and stuff, but not with that current history and that connection to, again, like I said, I did my first film with Sinatra. And this is not taking. I'm just, because of my film career and the characters I played and who I am, there's a different entity. I'd like it to sell out, of course, and I'd like to go back and play 6 weeks there and 6 weeks in Atlantic City and tour the country.
Yeah, and 2 weeks in Tucson. Robert Davi, thank you for being part of the show, my man, and best of luck at the Venetian.
Thanks a lot. Thanks so much, Jake.
We'll talk to you soon. This is the Jake Feinberg Show on KWFM, The Star. That's gonna go down. That's going down. That's nice.
KWFM, South Tucson.
CBS News, I'm Sam Litzinger. Republican voters in Nevada are weighing in on the presidential race at their precinct caucuses.
I'm so tired of the polar extremes. You know, we need to have people work together in Congress and everywhere else. So.
CBS News political consultant Fred Backus.
It's been the same two concerns for Republican voters in every state so far.